What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Today you're going to learn a little bit about what I think, my perspective on what you should do if you are stuck in the middle. And what I mean by stuck in the middle is a really common issue for a lot of people. Maybe you have a job that you make a ton of money. Maybe you sold a business that you made a good chunk of money, but you're not necessarily going anywhere with it. Maybe you don't have a lot of money and you're working a good job, but you want to make the exit out of that game into the entrepreneur life or get out of your job or whatever it is. Basically, where do I start? What am I supposed to do? I don't have ideas. I don't have a business. Where am I going with this, right? My version of that's always been the same. I echo this a lot across the board. But everybody knows something. Most people know something that's generally sellable. So when we talk about ideas and just coming up with a random idea for a business is a really complicated way to start, especially if you have zero experience, right? If you have zero experience, you could have lots of great ideas, but you have no idea how to execute them. So my advice is always usually 3 steps, right? So number one is relax a little bit. It doesn't just happen overnight, right? You've got to take an approach of like, you're not just going to come up with the first great idea you have and execute it and you're going to be rich, right? It takes time, it takes effort, it takes learning. You're going to have failures, you're going to have successes, you're going to experience the entire roller coaster, everything in between. But the best way to attack that from there on out, step 2, is take a great account of what you have and what you know, right? And what marry that up with what's valuable. So say you're a great writer. Say you know how to sell chicken better than anybody else. Take that and try to basically sell your time for money in the meantime, right? If you're trying to make an extra $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month, the only thing that you can get immediately is sell your expertise to somebody that needs it, provide a ton of value, and make hopefully a greater income that you would get than working at, Sam's Club or Costco, pushing carts, right? Because that's just a not effective use of time. The stress and anxiety and overwhelm that comes from having second jobs and all that pay not significant amounts of money are typically not going to be worth it. So we want to make sure we can maximize and get the greatest dollar amount for our time in accordance with the value we're given, right? So we're not just going to bullshit somebody for $1,000 an hour because they accepted it or they bought into the bullshit, right? It doesn't work like that. And don't do that anyways because it's called scamming people. And then the third thing is once you're kind of in that mode, right, and you have a bit of money or whatever, start taking note and get your mind wrapped into a very opportunity-seeking mode, right? You want to make sure that you're always seeking opportunity because what happens is people are always looking for that next great idea that's going to work. You're not going to get it sitting on the sidelines. It's going to come when you are playing the game. And so if you are taking your expertise and you're doing consultancy or you're selling your time for your money to someone, be it a job, second job, whatever, and you're getting a high dollar value for it, those opportunities are going to come up. Maybe it's with the company you're working with. Maybe it's with a competitor. Maybe it's a product that goes along with the service you're providing that you realize, hey, there's a real gap here and there's a real need for this thing. That's where your next big opportunity is going to come from. You can't find those types of things sitting on the sidelines because you can't see them. You're never even going to be approached by those problems because you're not out there playing the game. People ask me all the time how I got my products were basically given a 10-minute ad on the Rachel Ray show to 3 or 4 million people, however many watch her show every day. And I tell them I have no idea, right? They bought the product and they reached out and I thought it was BS at first until I vetted it later. But it was a product of being in the game, right? I could have tried for years to try to get on the show. Nonetheless, having just my product showcased over 10 minutes and doing massive amounts of sales and never gotten anywhere with it. It just showed up randomly. I was doing nothing working towards it. It was a product of playing the game, being available for the opportunity, being ready for the opportunity, and seizing that opportunity when it came up and maximizing it. So that's really what my focus is when people ask that question, is like, what do I do next? get in the game, make sure you're making as much for your time and your value as possible, and start looking for those opportunities. And most importantly, don't sit here and stress endlessly that you're not moving. You are where you are right now because that's where you should be, right? If things would have been different, they would have been different. So there's no reason to stress over, hey, I don't have a business. Hey, I don't have this great idea. I'm not working on it. Things take patience. They take time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. So just think through that if you're stuck in that spot. Well, number one, if you're stuck in that spot and you need help, let me know. I can potentially help you. But hopefully maybe this video realigns some of your expectations and goals with where you're at. So hopefully it's helpful, and we will catch you guys. We'll catch you guys next week.